If someone asks you to run or climb stairs or walk uphill after taking food, you will definitely not be comfortable doing them. This shows that there are certain things, works, and activities which should not be done soon after consumption of food. If done, they would definitely have a bad impact on the health and metabolism. Thus, it is important to know what are those things, works, and activities which are prohibited after food. Loss of appetite or indigestion is the earliest symptom or complaint of a disturbed or diseased gut or stomach. These symptoms are generally neglected, but we have to be careful and take caution when they have a longer route and longer period of existence in the body. There may be a dangerous systemic disease developing in its backdrop. According to Ayurveda, these symptoms of impaired digestion indicates a systemic disease slowly developing within us, which might get manifested as a serious disease in a larger scale in future. These also reflect an error in metabolic process either in the gut or at the cellular level. They are not as easy and simple as we think them to be. Doing certain things or getting indulged in certain activities after food also puts the stomach, metabolism, health, and immunity in trouble. These are the 15 things which would upset the gut and cause systemic diseases if done immediately after taking food. Therefore, according to Ayurveda, these 15 are the best avoided things immediately after food in the foresight of good health. Excessive or immediate sleeping. One should not sleep immediately after taking food. You should go to sleep at least 1 or 1.5 hours after taking food. This rule is applicable for all foods, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is more suitable for dinner because generally we tend to sleep immediately after dinner. When we sleep or rest immediately after food, we would not have given enough time and opportunity for the stomach to digest our food. Also, when we sleep, the blood supply and nerve control over the stomach will be cut off or will be taking place at a lesser pace than needed. This leads to indigestion. Chronic indigestion forms the foundation to many systemic disorders. According to Ayurvedic concepts of digestion, during the first part of digestion in the stomach, or improperly processed or immature essence of food is formed. This needs to be further processed in the further stages of digestion. When we sleep immediately after food, the is not further processed and accumulates in heavy amounts. This dilutes the digestive juices and slows down the digestion process. Over a period of time, when sleeping immediately after food gets into practice, severe indigestion sets in and forms a foundation for many systemic illness. Sleeping immediately after taking food leads to indigestion and excessive formation of cough. Like cough too dilutes the digestive juices and gives rise to chronic indigestion in a long run. This in turn leads to severe diseases caused due to sluggish metabolism, such as obesity, high cholesterol, worsening of asthma, etc. The cough located in the cells also will increase beyond limits and slows down the cellular metabolism. Lot of toxins, metabolites or products of improper cellular digestion and processing of nutrients have a capacity to block and clog the cells and channels in the body and causes cellular toxicity and damage. In total, the functions of the body and mind will cease and become slow and sluggish. Lot of metabolic wastes accumulate in the body, blocking the nutrition to the cells. The vital organs like heart, brain, liver and kidneys are damaged on a long run as an effect of functional overload. Cough and are heavy elements and their excessive accumulation lead to severe morbidity and digestive dysfunctions. This in turn causes many stubborn systemic diseases. Excessive sitting or relaxing. One should not sit or relax for prolonged periods after taking food. Doing this will produce excessive cough and arm, just like as it happens when we sleep immediately after taking food. This leads to manifestation of similar systemic and metabolic disorders like those caused due to sleeping immediately after taking food. Excessive intake of fluids. Fluids, especially water, is an important part of diet. Ayurveda advocates to take food and liquids in 1/3 proportions each and leave the other 1/3 part of the stomach empty for free movements and for the doshic actions to take place. Ayurveda also preaches that water or any other liquids should not be taken when you are on empty stomach, feeling hungry, or after food. This shows that water or fluids, though help in digestion of food and is an essential element, it might also hamper the digestion process when taken in excess. After food intake, the digestive juices, especially the acids, will be acting on the food to convert it into an absorbable and usable form. This is an important step in the digestion, because the stomach has to provide semi-digested food subjected to action by acid to the intestines for further digestion to take place. At this point, when we drink excessive water, the water floods and dilutes the acid-mixed foods and hampers digestion. The same water can prematurely flush the food into intestine and contaminate the environment therein. At this point, the intestine is still not prepared to digest the food sent by stomach. With practice and in due course of time, the intestine will be weakened and will lead to IBS. Stomach acid and metabolic fire will be consequently diluted and weakened. This forms a platform for many systemic illness on the long run. Drinking lot of water immediately after food causes diseases like obesity. Exposure to fire. Fire and activities related to exposure to fire or heat should be avoided immediately after taking food, at least for 45 minutes. This includes all the jobs and activities which need to work for longer hours in front of fire and furnaces, like housewives, goldsmiths, and factory workers. Exposure to heat and fire activates Brajak Pith, a type of pith or heat element located in the skin. This in turn activates the other piths located in the body, including Pachak Pith or belly fire, and disturbs them. Exposure to heat is said to be one of the factors which disturb the pith equilibrium in the body. The disturbance of pith leads to errors of metabolism and digestion, which once again lead to many systemic and metabolic disorders. Excessive heat in the stomach is also not a desired environment for normal and easy digestion to take place. The food gets burned out and is again prematurely pushed into small intestine. This food will have inadequate nutrients and will not be capable of supporting the body and mind functions properly. Also, the cells, tissues, and organs will be damaged with insufficient nutrition. Apart from this, high pith in the body will give rise to multi-inflammatory zones, which leads to inflammatory disorders. The endocrine glands too will start working in an erratic way due to the influence of high pith, leading to endocrine disorders. Moreover, during exposure to fire or heat, more blood circulation and nerve impulses will be oriented towards the skin. This will consequentially lessen the blood supply to vital organs within the body, including stomach. This will hamper the stomach functioning when we get exposed to heat or fire immediately after food. Exposure to sun's heat. Exposure to sunlight or heat of the sun is also contraindicated after having food. It imparts similar effects on health just as exposure to fire does when done immediately after taking food. Going into sun or sunlight is permissible if sufficient break time of around 45 minutes has been given between food intake and exposure. But many times it becomes mandatory for us to get into the sunlight as a part of our day-to-day schedules. It is impractical to work on theories while doing so, but on a long run, it will definitely have its contribution towards health disturbance. Swimming. One should not swim till at least 45 minutes after taking food. Again, swimming is an activity or exercise which uses the body movement, mainly those of muscles. Lot of movements, activities and exercise leads to vitiation of vayu or the air element. The vitiated vayu in turn disturbs all the activities in the body by creating haphazard movements or bloating. Activities like excessive swimming leads to burnouts in the body and depletion of tissues. Depletion of tissues is one of the reasons for aggravation of Vata dosh in the body. The blood circulation will increase toward muscles and peripheral tissues during activities like swimming. This causes depletion of blood circulation in the digestive system. The food doesn't get digested properly and leads to excessive formation of arm. First at the gut level, later in the tissue level, disturbing both gut and tissue metabolism. Excessive arm dosh in the body causes toxic effects, disturbs health and depletes immunity. Walking long distances. Walking is good for health but not immediately after intake of food. Many people have a habit of going for a long walk immediately after taking food. The impression is that it might help in better digestion, but on the contrary, it might hamper and damage the entire digestive system on a long run. The same mechanism as explained in the context of swimming immediately after food is also applicable here. Many would have experienced a type of discomfort in the stomach and chest regions when they walk immediately following food. This is due to the pressure exerted on the chest organs by the food-filled stomach. This causes pressure for circulation and breathing, which might cause breathlessness and fatigue. If we do this on a regular basis, it poses a dangerous scenario for the heart and lungs to function. We also can see stomach-related conditions like vomiting, nausea, headache, bloating, irritable bowel, and colic to occur frequently. Riding or driving vehicles or animals. These days, we don't ride animals but do a lot of driving and riding vehicles. Riding or driving a vehicle in excess is not good for the health. We can put it into the category of over-exercise. Exercise beyond our capabilities always is harmful and will cause tissue depletion and vitiation of vayu, as we have discussed in the previous instances. Riding or driving a vehicle or traveling immediately after taking food will have a similar ill effect on our overall health and metabolism as explained in swimming and walking a long distance. Exercise. Exercise and sporting of any kind is also prohibited past food. It will have a similar impact on health as explained in swimming, walking a long distance, and driving vehicles or animals. Exercising immediately after taking food will reduce the life expectancy and immunity of an individual. Sexual intercourse. Coitus or sexual intercourse is also a type of exercise. Just like exercise, sex done after taking food also leads to wasting of tissues, especially reproductive tissue or semen. One could not be able to perform sex either actively or passively, and there will not be satisfaction and pleasure of sex since there will be pressure on circulatory apparatus and other organs. When one indulges in intercourse immediately after food, it will deplete the semen stores. This puts the pressure on predecessor tissues like lymph, blood, muscle, bone, marrow, fat tissues to form semen. This functional pressure on the other tissues to replace and replenish semen will cause work burden on them, and gradually there is failure of those systems in rendering their duties. This reflects the depletion of other tissues in an attempt to form semen. Thus, having sex immediately after food not only disturbs the overall metabolism, it also exerts a functional burden on many tissues and organs, thus imparting a bad effect on health. During sex, just as in swimming, traveling, or exercising, the blood supply will be more oriented toward peripheral tissues and other organs. Less blood supply to GIT causes digestive disorders on a long run. Running. One should also not do running or jogging after taking food. It will have a similar ill effect on health, metabolism, and digestion as swimming, walking, and exercising. Intake of alcohol. Consumption of alcohol and smoking has been modern day trends and depicts social status on many occasions. People drink and smoke to impress others. The label over them that they pose a danger to the life is ignored. Ayurveda calls it pragyaprad, or doing mistakes or sins in total consciousness and awareness. As such, addiction to alcohol is bad. It not only destroys the liver and stomach but also has a bad impact on many organs and tissues of the body. Alcohol is a slow poison. Ayurveda mentioned this by telling that alcohol has all the qualities of poison in milder form. Consumption of alcoholic products after food is contraindicated. Alcohol tamper with digestion of food, impairs the blood and nerve control over the stomach and intestines. Alcohol also provides fermented background for digestion and produces indigestion. Lot of arm is formed which clogs the channels of the body. Alcohol also produces intoxication and depressive effect on the brain and heart functions. The alcoholic may tend to sleep early due to the tranquilizing effect of the alcohol. Sleep further slows down the digestion process. Wrestling and similar activities. Wrestling and similar activities involving severe physical exertion are contraindicated after taking food. The impact of wrestling and similar activities after taking food will be similar to the ill effects of taking food after exercising, swimming, or riding. Singing. Singing and other activities involving art forms like dance should be avoided immediately after food. These activities also disturb and vitiate vayu and lead to many systemic disorders. Singing includes using of our voice. These activities increase the burden on heart functioning and breathing process in the presence of food. The food may regurgitate back and causes symptoms like acidity, sore and burning throat, heartburn, and vomiting. Studying or reading. Studying, reading, or anything related to learning process should be avoided after food. After the food, the circulation of blood and nerve responses is oriented towards the stomach and intestines to help proper digestion process. The higher functions of brain related to grasping and storing the learned material would have ceased after the ingestion of food and during the process of digestion. That's why we often feel hangover and a tendency to sleep after taking food. Anything read or learned during this time is futile. If you have a tendency or practice of reading loudly, the disturbances in the Vata balance leading to metabolic errors and digestive disorders. In the olden days, there was no provision of light after sunset. Therefore, they used to have early dinner and sleep early. Thus, dinner would have been the last activity to end the day. But in the current day scenario, a lot of kids and students read overnight and strain their eyes and brain. This causes loss of sleep, disturbance of sleep pattern and releases stress hormones, chronic insomnia, gut-related disorders, disturbance in thought processing and memory, mood swings, eyesight disorders, and lot more. All these described factors or any of this can come into the way of digestion of food, which eventually become the cause of many systemic diseases. This should be avoided at least for a period of 45 minutes or 1 hour after food. Intentionally or unintentionally, knowingly or unknowingly, we all would be indulged in one or other of the above said factors immediately after food, because we often do not live by theories, but with a perspective of keeping ourselves healthy and to let our metabolism to go in a smooth way. We have to know the previously described things and try to avoid doing them as far as possible. On a long run, these principles would help us to prevent the loss of systemic diseases and keep ourselves fit and healthy. Prevention is better than cure is an old saying, and it holds good even as we go ahead in civilization and become more and more scientific. Hope this information brings health in your life. Thank you.